Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to focus in on the divisiveness that is happening within the dog training community. And again, by way of those who identify as balanced dog trainers, you're going to see on this video, which really illustrates my point. By way of, again, I talk about the hypocrisy by way of trainers who engage in trash talking, calling out each other on social media. This video here put out by Larry Crone. This is a public video where you're going to hear him going through and mentioning names, getting personal. And one of the points I make here in terms of, again, you hear these trainers talking all day long, getting personal with each other, but absolute zero when it comes to talking about what the real issue is in the dog training world. Because my point is that you can't talk about that which you're in agreement with. And so again, you're seeing a lot of virtue signaling happening. You're seeing trainers that are trying to gain, views and likes that go on podcasts with each other. As long as they're calling out those within their ideological comfort zone, they're fine with it. But again, when it comes down to actually the real issue, zero. So here, I want to play some of this video just to illustrate just what is happening in the dog training world. You're going to see here, Crone here calling out some trainers and getting personal, having this type of discussion. And so the name of the title of the video speaks volumes, says the dog training world is a disaster. But the question is, why is it a disaster? I agree it's a train wreck. But why is it a train wreck? Well, it's a train wreck because of this idea that training is a learning-based exercise that balanced dog trainers and force-free are marketing as is to the public in terms of motivating dogs to respond in the middle of a relationship problem while assuming that those responses represent that perceptions of dogs are changing, which is inherently flawed based on, again, talk about the two core ingredients, influence and control, absent from this idea of what training is.
Very much so. Now, most recently, as most of you know, I took Ivan's course. I did not go get certified. I did not go down there. I had no interest in doing that. Not because I don't respect what he does. I respect Bart and Ivan immensely.
So the same Ivan Balanoff, again, talk about the whole, again, more hypocrisy, the Ivan Balanoff copyright situation. We're, again, going through my Flipping the Script series based, again, on specific information under following fair usage and going through all of it. Balanced training, force-free training, and with Ivan's situation concept, play-based training. So, again, specific information. If you watch my videos, not going through getting personal like these trainers, not engaging in cheap shots, actually talking about the real issue, very specific. So here again, whole different type of thing going on with these trainers who now, again, interesting in just recently, the last few months, kind of a new dynamic is balanced dog trainers going after each other. And even in terms of, the very interesting conversation where, again, on my channel, I'm doing an extensive breakdown on, is a conversation between Larry Crone, pictured here, and Ivan Balanoff. It turns into a type of almost interrogation over the role of the remote collar, even as those devices are being banned. So again, you see this total loss of perspective here when it comes to even the role of certain tools for a reason.
Will never be on Bart's level. I will never be on Ivan's level. Let's just get that straight. Most people will not. They train very differently, but in many ways, similar in many ways. I have no interest in putting no one's name on my shirt except my wife and kids. That's it. Myself, my wife, and my kids. I don't care about having anyone's name on my shirt. And to be 100% honest, I would have loved to go down and learn hands-on from Ivan, but I don't like some of the people around him, and this isn't anything new. I've told him the same thing. I don't trust some of the people around him.
So he doesn't like some of the people, around associated with Ivan.
think they have hurt him a great deal because a lot of people haven't had good experiences, not because of Ivan, because of some of the people around him. That's a problem, okay?
So again, talking about the people around Ivan, but how about talking about the real problem in the dog training world? See, there's the difference here. This is all personality related stuff going on.
Was the course worth it for me? Abso-fucking-lutely. Absolutely, right?
With so many choices on Booking.com,
You see people doing great things that have gone through both schools. You see people doing terrible things that have gone through both schools. It's not the school's fault.
See, and this whole thing, and again, when you hear these balanced dog trainers talking, it's very superficial. Great things. What does that even mean? This is where, again, you hear trainers like Crone coming out giving force-free trainers an ideological hall pass. Statements like, oh, yeah, force-free trainers, they could do a great job, with some dogs. Like these exception clauses. Just like, again, the recent, balanced dog trainer remote collar study put out by Ivan Belanoff that, again, another trigger point, all the exception clauses. I did a video on that. But no clarity. Again, no clarity, because understand that balanced dog trainers, they have aligned themselves with this inherently flawed, corrupted idea as to what training is.
It's not the teacher's fault. Not everyone has the same ability, okay? Not everyone has the same ability. The problem is, you get these young trainers with 10 years or less in, and they truly think they know everything. And if they have spent time with someone who's very influential, the ego and the cockiness goes through the fucking roof.
All right, so he's talking about ego, and I understand the whole dog training world is based on ego, okay? Because here's the thing. This whole thing, I put out information, but I show that there's no wiggle room here. It requires a trade-off, okay? Training is not a learning-based exercise. You may approach it that way, but again, there's a reason why so many dog owners continue to struggle in the relationships with their dogs, even after investing time, money, and energy into this idea by way, again, of a counterfeit picture of change within the framework of response. There's a reason why that happens. I talk about that. But the ego part is the ability to be able, once you cross so many lines here, and you invested your entire reputation, you're making money off of this idea that is based on exploitation. It devalues dogs. It doesn't align, by way of, again, I talk about the two core ingredients. Well, it's hard to walk that back. Okay, so then it becomes all about ego, because then your success and your popularity, your identity becomes, intertwined in this ideology. So to walk it back or make the trade-off, it's almost impossible for the majority of trainers at that point, the ones that should have asked the questions from the beginning as individuals.
It just does. It goes through the roof. And then everyone else is wrong. Right? Everyone else is wrong. Play is a really powerful tool. More powerful than anything else. If you
talk about play, I talk about that, motivating a response in the middle of a relationship problem. Okay? No different than using a treat.
Ask me. I did not just start using play in my training once I took Ivan's course.
So play, because here's the thing. Here's the depth of the problem here. Once a relationship problem's underway, once you sign that kind of social contract, just like I talk about the permissive parenting style, control itself, associated in and through the relationship through the human, becomes by default its own motivator. Now think about what I just said. okay, without even having a treat in your hand. That's the depth of the problem here.
I used it long before that. Do I use it more now than ever before? Absolutely. Is he a big influence on that? Absolutely. Have I gotten better with it? No freaking doubt. No doubt. I also use food. I still teach behaviors using.
See, food. Talk about behaviors. That word doesn't even belong. Okay, based on how its ideas apply. So the trainers using that word, then both these groups do it. They put that word behavior in there. Well, how do you, what's your basis to even establish or qualify that the responses represent that the perception of dogs are changing? Well, there is none. Okay, because those two core ingredients are missing in the process: influence and control. So it's all inherently flawed. Understand that, you hear this word behavior, they're trying to kind of gin up those responses to represent something beyond just the response.
Food. Do I withhold food from my dogs or my clients' dogs? No, I don't withhold anything from them. Okay? I train the way I train. I've tried to take the best of the people I've learned from and utilize it to the best of my ability, which I try to get better at every single day. But for me to see people that really should not be so opinionated, constantly bashing one side or the other, just the constant negativity and criticizing each, but they're always scared to use names, right? I don't even know where I'm going with this, okay? But I'd rather no one ask me anymore to choose between the two and, what's good about each and what's bad about each.
You're talking about good or bad, but understand it's two sides of the same coin here, balanced and force free. They're both aligned with this learning based ideology. Just realize that.
Fantastic. If you're looking for someone to learn from where there are no anything ever negative said by someone, you're going to be left with two people to train with. Michael Ellis and Pat Nolan. They're the only two humans in the history of dog training, I believe, that I've never heard anything bad said about. Everybody likes them, right? That's it. Then those are the only two trainers you could ever work with.
So you talk about not bad things. That means nothing. Okay, understand that. What it comes down to is what process are you aligned with? That's what it comes down to. It shouldn't be about personalities this way. I understand that's the confusion. It's become about whether I like this person, don't like this person. Well, what it should be about is the process that's being marketed. Is that process itself represent a real standard? That should be the question. That should be the question.
Stop believing people when they tell you something bad about someone else. Maybe that's the whole fucking point I'm trying to get here. Right? Again, I go back to that fat fuck phrase in Maine that you fuckers sat by, right? I see you guys making posts now. It's good that you're making the information public.
Now, here's another example of just like virtue signaling, okay? This thing, you see this going on all the time in the dog training world. Personal allegations against someone. Allegations of, say, of ripping people off, allegations. Well, these trainers will take a hold of that and try to use that to try to shut people down or try to come up against people. But again, don't be distracted here. Understand, you see this stuff going on all the time. The question would be, okay, what's the real problem in the dog training world? Beyond the personalities or whatever's going on in people's personal lives, what's the real problem in the dog training world? So you understand that people are being distracted here because these trainers can't talk about that, right? So if some personal thing comes up with the trainer, they're all over it. I'm not supporting, phrase that way at all. I'm focusing in on, okay, what's the real problem here?
But motherfucker, you sat by that guy's side and watched all this shit go on. And I warned you, if I ever lied to anyone about anything, fuck no. Never. Am I always right? No. No, but if I say something that someone sucks and is shady, it's for a reason. I'm not assuming that. I'm telling you because I know.
You're saying sucks and they're shady. Well, how about the real problem here? I talk about the real problem. What about what's really going on here? Because here's the thing: I talk about the big lie in the dog training world. And I encourage people to think about this. If you've embraced the lie, the big lie is that trains learning-based exercise, everything that comes from that is going to be not good. Okay, it brings on confusion, it brings on divisiveness, it brings on everything you're seeing going on in the dog training world right now. It's not based on the truth.
Oh, right? You pet dog trainers. You folks that are on the internet and on Facebook and Instagram every day preaching, I don't know who you're preaching to, dog trainers, potential clients, I don't know what. But then you spend your time learning from people like fucking Jeff Gelman and Sean O'Shea. Stop giving advice. Stop giving advice. You should not be giving advice to no one. Not your local shelter, not a rescue, not a 90-year-old woman with a chihuahua that has no ability to train a dog.
So here he is slamming down on Gelman. Again, I talk about interesting because this is Crohn's one of these one of the trainers. The whole Jeff Gelman bonker situation. Okay, the whole what you saw by way of the bonker. So you saw in that situation. I talk about that. It's interesting that not only did you see force-free trainers pile onto that situation and attempt to cancel Gelman, but you saw balanced dog trainers pile on as well. Well, that's interesting. Well, why is that? Well, that whole situation really shows, you have someone like Crone coming out calling himself a purely positive, balanced dog trainer. Well, like I said, what the heck is that? But see, that's the whole compromise position that represents balanced dog training, playing both sides of the fence. So here in this video, you can watch the whole thing yourself, but just the getting personal, the trash talking. But again, one big takeaway is where's the discussion about what the real problem is in the dog training world? Absolutely zero. That's what the dog training world has become. Okay, this whole thing about just personalities, about virtue signaling, about calling out like jumping all on board like some obvious situations that represent abuse. But meanwhile, all these dogs are being blame shifted on. All the inherent problems. I talk about all the breed specific bans, devices being banned, force-free movement taken over, the collateral damage happening. But see, that's the problem here. Balanced dog trainers, they've played this game. There's no shame in their game, but they've played this game from the beginning. They play both sides of the fence from the beginning. So they want to come off as victim. But meanwhile, you look at the problems. So they've made money off of this. They've played the game. Again, it's two sides of the same coin, learning-based coin. And this is why the dog training world is coming apart at the seams. Thanks for watching.